Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Touchline Pod. I'm your host, Michel. Ever faithful Manchester United fan, I decided to come out in full force because still thick and thin, I have to support my team. We have our level-headed Chelsea fan Inamdi sporting the Chelsea swag, and we have Swagu, aka Steezy Steez. I don't know why he's wearing black and black. He should be in a joyful mood considering the fact that Arsenal will soon proceed to the Champions League finals.
I mean, it's not too early to start the morning. That's what I want to say. Not too early to start the morning.
So he's going ahead of the curve. Okay, well done. All right, so we are going to revisit the Champions League. Some interesting things happened last week in Europe, and we are about to, which set up a fantastic showdown for the semi-finals, the semi-final second leg. And I have to say, as a neutral, I was um I was excited that what I saw in the semi-finals last week, although it came from an unexpected source. Most of us thought that Arsenal was going to put on a show for us again, going to prove difficult to break down and take PSG by surprise. But, people like us, when we see the future and tell that PSG is going to pass Arsenal, they say that we are hating because our team is not in Champions League. They remind us that we are languishing in 15th and 16th of the
No,
Champions League.
it's because it's because you don't have steez. That's why.
That's why I went to find some steez today now. You know. Find some Man U team steez. Unlike Steezy Steez that doesn't give us any Arsenal swag. So let's start with Inter Milan and Barcelona because I think it's a good place to start considering what we saw from them last week. It was beautiful, magical Champions League night. I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that. So I will start with a level-headed man, Inamdi. Tell us, what do you think is going to happen in the second leg, considering what happened in the first leg?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be as. I'm hoping I'm correct, but I don't think there'll be as much chaos as there was in the first leg. In all honesty, Inter did crack Barcelona, but like I was trying so hard to explain last week, no matter how the thing with Barcelona this season is that no matter how much you think you crack them, you will somehow not win the game. And so basically, Inter really needs to be ready to go the whole 90 minutes. That was another thing I noticed. Towards the 70th minute mark, I think the Inter Milan players were playing tired, and Barcelona is. I don't know how they are doing this. Okay, I do, but let's leave that aside. But yeah, I think that it will not be as chaotic. I think Inter Milan will be more ready. Um, Hopefully they cut out the mistakes, but I'm not banking on that because Barcelona is Barcelona. Yep, that's all for me.
Well, I think I have an answer to one of the question that he asked in between your answer. After our last tease give us his professional take as a professional footballer. As a striker, it's all about scoring goals.
Prof.
I'm sure he was happy to see where his fellows were doing the business. This, what happened last week? What can you say about last week and what do you think? How do you think it sets up for tomorrow?
In which of the game?
Inter Milan versus Barcelona. We're talking about a serious game, not the other one.
Um,
It's not my fault. First, against Madrid, your team gave us some Champions League magic, but it looked like your magic power was out last week, so not my fault.
well, I think for PSG and for Inter and Barca, well, I think if I'm not wrong, I said something in the lines of it's going to be a lot of goals, and then someone also pointed the fact they
Actually,
had played a lot of games and Inter would be tired, but yeah. it was going to be an interesting game. But I know I said something in the lines of there was going to be a
Yeah,
lot of
actually,
goals because,
you did say that. I'll give you credit for that. You did say that. I totally forgot that
dude,
you said that. You did say that there will be goals, and we are
there was
thinking
going
how
to
the
be
goals are
goals.
going to come because Inter
Yeah,
Milan is supposed to be good defensively and all that.
yeah.
But you did mention that. Credit to you. You did mention that. I don't know if I
I
had known, I would have put
watched.
some money on it.
Well, I watched the game, and I'm going to watch it in our time tomorrow. And I still expect goals. I expect that chaotic performance, not because Inter will fall into Barca hands or Barca will fall. No, I think it's just a game. It's a semi-final, like I said last week. It's semi-finals where tactics is not necessarily what comes to play at this point. At this point now, it's everything involved. Tactics, resilience, luck, hunger, even calm. So you're just playing the game. It's like a one-off game because
So
at that point there's a lot of
okay.
professionalism. There's a lot of skill set like coming to play now. So it's not just about, oh, this is an attacking team. Now you have to come out and do something. I said Barca exploited the spaces in the Madrid game that day, and I don't know who was
Yes.
trying to shut them down. And they were not going to find those spaces, but because Inter were going to try to come out, which they did, then Barca and right, giving Inter the credit, they actually put the game. They really gave very good account of themselves attacking wise as well.
I don't know. They didn't really come out and this me like, for instance, that Lamin Yamal goal. It was just real Lamin just giving some pulling a rabbit out of a hat because there was no space. It was the one. It was the one curve of space there that he put that ball in to score that beautiful goal that he did. It's not a lot of back and Inter coming out.
It's not
Yeah.
just the tactics that play, like individual brilliance, everything comes to play. And that's why I think this game, notwithstanding it being in San Siro, it's going to be a game where Barca is going to play, do what they do best, just attack and attack and attack. Inter is going to try to defend, but they would need to come out as well because no one is on top right now, which makes it even
Yep.
more interesting. It's free, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a very, very good game for the neutrals. And in saying that, I think there's going to be goals, except so how we'll see a different game from the first to be if Inter this time scores two and try not to concede at least in first half. I think Inter is capable of playing a defensive game with 2 goals ahead against Barca for 45 minutes. If not,
Okay.
if it's a game where they score back and forth, it's going to be a very porous one.
All right. Um.
I mean, but wait, I wait. Did you see the last leg? Inter, they were defending.
I wanted to see that.
The defending was hopeless. I cannot. They were defending. It was hopeless. I'm serious. Like they were.
Namdi, I have an answer for you.
Yeah.
Marcus Thuram actually answered your question.
What question was that?
Marcus Thuram said that when CBS, Henry and Micah and Kate Abdul, when they were interviewing him after the match, he's mentioned something to the effect of them playing tired and then not being able to come out. Was Barca has the ball so much, he spends so much time trying to cover all the spaces that by the time you get the ball, you actually don't have an outlet. Or you're too tired to actually
That's
make
one.
that run.
That's one.
So
That's one.
so when everybody feels like you're supposed to be easily counter them, but because of how much they've drained your energy with you trying to ensure that they don't find those spaces, as Henry has said, you end up not having that outlet to actually counter them, or the person that's your outlet is would have maybe thrown back to help defend the defense and is too tired to actually make that busting run to counter them. So you have that situation.
The other thing I noticed, and you're correct by the way. So they have so much of the ball, but also when they lose the ball, there's something about the high press, right? When they lose the ball, they start to pressure the ball like the person holding the ball, and then once you beat that initial press, their defensive line pushes up, tries to catch you offside, And what that does is that it short. I don't know about you, but that kind of movement is short circuits the person who is distributing the ball or who wants to make the pass, or what beside you, you're a team that likes to control possession. It short circuits you because you can just pass a normal pass on your offside, and whatever you started has ended. That was another thing I noticed.
Well, that is yeah, it's still in line with what this guy said, because Henri, I think it's Henri. What am I? Can't remember. One of these good pundits mentioned something, or Craig Bowley on ESPN. So he doesn't understand why people can't actually catch Barcelona with this
Can't
their
you can't
like like Mbappe in the first El Clasico when Mbappe just kept going offside. Like it's supposed to be simple where the run is supposed to start from deep and then you put the ball across. It's supposed to be simple, but with the way Marcus Thuram has explained the problems that they have with trying to cover it, who has that energy? Who is that person with that energy that will start making the run from deep for you to put the ball? So actually, their way works.
if you notice, even when Inter beat their line, they were too tired. And if they try to push runners from midfield, you can't be pushing runners from midfield because you want to be compact. So that's why I'm saying that the one high line has completely, because Barcelona doesn't lose energy. And I just realized why, because I thought about if you're playing that high line, you're not going to lose energy.
Because
You are
you're playing only
tactically
half of the
offsetting.
pitch. You're playing only half
Exactly.
of the
You
pitch.
are tactically offsetting half of your opponent's plan. You're not like,
They'll
yes,
meet.
and your defenders are fast, so you can cover ground. So I don't know, honestly. Like
Yeah.
Inter should
So
win, but
okay. So Inter should win.
I don't
All
know,
right.
man.
Henry,
I
Henry,
don't know.
Henry, who's going to win? Swago, who is going to win? Who's going through?
Um, I really
Just give a short
can't
verdict.
pick out a team that will win. I think there'll be goals. I think Barca might edge it.
Okay. All right. It's a backup.
That's fair.
Personally, to me, it's 50-50. It's a toss up. Anybody can go because at the moment there's no advantage. The advantage we thought Inter have, we've seen that it's not much of an advantage. All right. So on the second part, where again, second Champions League again, Arsenal disappointed me again. Not so much disappointed me because I remember mentioning that PSG was going, they meet Arsenal, they were going to actually get past Arsenal. I think they will still get past Arsenal, especially now they even have this goal advantage. But when I said it, I was the hater that forgot that Arsenal beat this same PSG mercilessly in the group stage, the group round. So, Sagu, please tell me the plan that the Ateta, the chosen Ateta, in the project, in this his project, what is the plan he has for this stage of his project to pass PSG?
Well, for one, we have Party coming back. When
Party
Party,
after party. Eh? Party after party after party. Okay. this
yeah, we
reminds
have
me. This
Party coming
reminds
back.
me of Ugarte. This reminds me of when Man wanted to sign Ugarte. Everybody made it sound like Ugarte would just come into Man U. That was the excuse they were giving. We are trying to sign Ugarte to cover that midfield. We are trying to sign Ugarte to cover that midfield. Like one man is the solution. Okay.
Party
Party, it's
and
okay.
Ugarte is not on Party's level at all. Where
Of
where Party
course.
stands, Ugarte is not like around at least
Feels
2,000
that feels like an
kilometers close to him.
exaggeration.
No, that's not the point. The point I'm making is
Ugarte
placing
has the
everything on one
ability.
person. The point I'm
Ugarte
making
has
is
the ability.
placing the result on one man. I don't
We're
think
not
it's fair.
necessarily placing the result on one man, but one man makes our game much more extensive, controllable, and makes it much more playable. I'm talking about bringing everybody's strength, skill set, wrapping it into one to then making it what exactly the coaches would want or what we're used to as fans. So Partey is very, very instrumental in that. I think his presence is going to be felt. You could see how he really had an impact in the game against Bournemouth. It's sad we lost that game because of some careless way of playing. I don't really know who to blame, but the first half and even when we scored, you could see what Partey brings to the team: the transition, the composure, the control
Yeah.
he brings, the level of adaptation he tries to create between both the um the lines of the midfield and the defense, and then the midfield and the attack. I think there's very few players in the world, certainly in Arsenal, that can do that, especially now that we're crying on Odegaard's neck. So he would be a difference. And then we would hopefully have Merino go for front, and I think we'll come back to the to the tactics of being a bigger striker, and well, certainly a midfielder that plays striker now, and
I have
having
a,
that
okay.
much control. One sec.
All right.
We will be able to hold their defenders to a certain level, or not level per se, but to a certain height or width in the game. Now, the difference between a runner and a bigger defender is, for the most part, if the ball comes to a runner and a bigger striker, for the most part, if the ball comes to a bigger striker, very often the defense tends to then play on that on that striker. Unlike when you have a striker like maybe Trossard or Martinelli, like a fast speedster that tries to play against the shoulders of the defense and make
Off
those
the
inside
shoulder, yeah.
runs. So we're looking at in our usual tactics, at least since January, where we have Merino there bringing the ball calm and calling the midfielders in and opening the wingers, and also having the defenders actually sit on his line or his level of play. That's something that would be very key. And hopefully we can have a
Okay.
very, very ambitious attacking midfield play today, because it's going to be very, very key. Against PSG last week, we did not create any ball from our 10. That's
I have a
Odegaard,
question
and it
for
was a
you.
bit sad.
Hey, I have a question for you. Quickly, let me know, is the criticisms that a lot of Arsenal fans have had on Odegaard recently, is it fair?
Yeah, well, you have to contextualize it. There is two sides to it. I think it's fair because in the game itself, you will more or less be frustrated with how Odegaard has played in the last, well, this season pretty much. So while you're watching him in the game itself, you have to have a lot of patience to, hold yourself and not just flare up or lose it against Odegaard. But as a player and what he brings to the team, he brings something very, very different as well and very important. So you have to sort of contextualize that, that question, and when you speak about criticism, because for this game, personally, I don't, he's our captain. I love him very much. Beautiful player to watch. One of the best you can find in that position. But for this game, if he starts, I'll give him maybe 45 minutes, maybe 55 at max. You need to bring the likes of people that might be able to do something different at large. But then you have say Waneri that can also create, but now it tends to have that bit of strength, can take that shot. For some reason, Odegaard doesn't take shots anymore. It's just changed a bit drastically in the
Okay.
last couple of weeks. I want to
Since
point
he
out
since he got
something.
back from injury.
Since he came back from injury, I saw something about Lamine Yamal and Waneri, and a lot of similarities and different. The data was actually pointing out how they've started this season, where they are at different levels in skill set, in bravado for the team and things like that. I think one thing Ateta needs to understand is some players, especially the younger ones, you have to have there's a very fine line that separates over coaching from maybe leaving them to do what they want to do. Now, someone like Lamy Yamar and Hansi Flick, seems like Flick has gotten the formula, in a sense, allowing him just use that bit of natural flair and creativity in some cases. And then you have a player in Lamine Yamal that still knows, all right, at 17, I have to play responsibly. I'm not just going to be flicking around or making mistakes because I think I'm the best. So it works for him. We have to adapt something like that to make someone like Waneri um, play and give out what he's best known for, creating and scoring. And then in this game, I'll probably utilize what I've just said in the player. of Waneri. You know, have um
Because he already has Saka for that.
Partey and Waneri. No,
as
Waneri for the under 21 or under 18 used to play 10, not on the side. So he
But
knows
then,
or
but
he
then
has a role
having, don't you
inside
think,
and 10.
don't you think it's going to be too much chaos having Saka have freedom and then having n- the person playing in that hole have that same level of freedom? Whereas, and I do understand that Odegaard's level has dropped, especially because now we are going to take into context the standards that he has set since he came into Arsenal and rejuvenated his career. Being the talisman, being the one to make your attack as a whole tick. And Arsenal fans have been questioning him as the captain and as the man that is supposed to be responsible for orchestrating our attack. He used to step up in such big games and he was missing. And some people have pointed out that since he got back from injury this season, he has not hit those levels. So taking him out and bringing in Nwaneri, putting that hole and then let him run free. I don't know. The attack as a whole, is that not just going to be too much chaos? That I think that can be something to consider. Having two people like that, because even when Chelsea had their own flair things, it was one person, Hazard, run around town, do what you want to do. Back in the day, Arsenal used to be one person, Sanchez, run around town, take the game by the scruff of the neck. And I don't know, having two people in the attack, in the attacking third at least, do that. Is that not too much chaos for the attack? I don't know. I think it's something to consider, and then maybe cut Arteta some slack because I think he's a man with a plan. He's been building this project for 5 years.
Rightfully so, he has done a very good job. As much as you want to laugh
Yeah,
or pick out on him, he's probably better than the next coach you're even going to get because you are going to sack Amarin very soon, I'm sure. So I'll
of
shut
course.
that banter down by telling you Ateta is going to be better than the next coach you are even going to get. So let's not
Yes,
just
even laugh at him.
just
He
just
does a good
just
job.
just of note, just of note. Sorry, finish.
Well, he does a good job. He has done a good job.
yes.
Unfortunately, we
Mm.
the and that's what life is about. You don't always get what you deserve. It's normal. We just have to be
Mm.
patient and we'll get there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
Um
don't agree.
in term,
Arsenal deserves what they're getting because we said this from before January transfer window that this is how it's going to
And
go.
that's exactly what happened.
So based on what you did, this is not a surprise result. So it's just a surprise result. So you're actually getting what you deserve based on your actions. I'm talking about Arsenal as a whole, not you now. Based on Arsenal, Ateta, and the board, based on their actions from summer and January transfer window, Arsenal is actually getting what they deserve. So this one is not even a
In
question
fact,
of unfair life.
I have a question.
What's the question?
What are we going to agree now that Arsenal didn't beat Wonder Madrid match because they scored two free kicks? Because I
No,
think
no,
that's
no, no,
that's
no,
that's
no,
what
no,
that's what
no.
is dawning on
No,
me.
we have to. No, listen, we have to
No,
take into account
I've not even
that.
answered the previous question. You've brought on that question, and I can answer all of them if you guys just chill and let me
okay,
answer.
Yeah,
okay.
just give us the short versions of the answer
There's
because
no,
we
there's no, there's
actually
nothing like short version because if you have to explain something,
All right.
especially when it comes to Arsenal, because there's two ways to see every Arsenal topic. Is that to see in the serious manner it comes, or to want to make fun of it. So I have to make sure I
But
contextualize
one
it
will
so
make
it
fun.
doesn't
One will
get
make fun
astray.
of it. One will make fun. Listen, but that being said, if we're being honest here, everyone will make fun of Arsenal. We make fun of Arsenal based on facts. We don't just say unreasonable things. So we are laughing at Arsenal. In fact, the reason why it's easy to pick on Arsenal because everything like it's 100% truth. You have to be honest here. It's like if you laugh at Man U now, talking about the next coach will get Man U, and you are right. Then, if I'm being honest here, if they don't stick with Amorim and it turns in and for him to turn it around, which I don't see how he's going to do because there's too much he needs to buy. If we get lucky to get into Champions League, we get some money, we get three players because the market players are very expensive. Let's face it. So if nothing is going, he's still going to struggle. And if they don't stick by him and actually let him do what he needs to do, they'll sack him. And honestly, the next coach they will get, there's a good chance to be worse than Ateta, and he will do worse than Ateta because he will come again and start his own thing again. So you're right in that. You laugh at Man you
Well,
don't
he's
see
still
me
better
saying
than
that.
he's still better than Amorim at the moment. So I meant he's better than. Let me
Yeah, you
consider that.
I
can you
mean,
can
I
say
mean,
what
I mean, you can make an argument that's better than Amorim in the sense that he is second
Actually,
in the league,
you can make an
and
argument if you choose to.
he's about to enter the UEFA Champions League final, no doubt. But in terms of actually winning something tangible,
And
I
and
mean,
seen and the one of the
I
What are
mean,
you
biggest
saying?
thing. Anyways,
You want to
let's
say in
not.
terms of winning something tangible? Where did he win things? He won things in what, Portugal, or what country was that? I can't even remember. And you want to compare that? He's come
Really?
to where he can. Yes, he's come to where he can show his good. Like you guys are trying to preach. Where is he sitting? 16th or 17th? I don't know, because it's not even a problem. I tried to watch you guys game yesterday
what
to
what
see, at least to
was
give.
Arsenal's first league position under Arteta?
Not 16th. You can guarantee that.
I can guarantee it wasn't six. But what was it? I'm just trying to
It
It
like
was
was
seventh.
refresh
eight
my
or
memory, please.
7 or 6 thereabout. Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Anyways,
Continue.
It
so
was not 16th.
back to it was not 16th, of course.
Continue.
Okay.
Back to serious issues.
And
Back to
we
serious
had
issues.
worse players than what Man U has now, or have now.
You sure about that?
Yeah, we did.
You really sure about that?
Our team was in shambles. Yes,
Your team was in shambles, but can you categorically say with confidence that you actually had worse players in every department more than Man U?
we did.
There's no if you remove Bruno Fernandes from this Man U team, remove Bruno Fernandes right
How,
now.
how many
Just start
players
as
can you pinpoint?
you actually had Lacazette. You actually had Lacazette. You had Ozil. You had Aubameyang.
And
You
these were
had the
three
striker
better
you had the
players.
striker that in your state in your worst banter state, this guy was giving you 20 league goals. Was
Those
breaking
were the
20
three.
league goals.
I'm not complaining. The team
So
was
you
a
cannot
shambles. Alan
categorically,
Timber,
yes, you can.
Socrates. Well, Tierney was good, but he fell off because of his injury. And then we just started playing Maitland Miles in the midfield. Well,
Maitland Niles
Guendouzi had his off period that time for some reason. We thought it was good. That season it just went flat. So another very poor midfielder that just happened to be with so much potential that we all thought. Yes, those three players you called, Jaka, we all know Jaka was going down the drain that period, and then eventually found his way back
Shaka
up,
was
which
not
is good.
Shaka was not going down the drain. Shaka was not going down the drain. Shaka was not utilized properly. Shaka was not utilized properly. When Ateta came and set up what he did 2 seasons ago with Shaka, then if you ask me, you say that's how to utilize Shaka.
Did you just hear what
Strong
I just
man
said?
holding that place.
Did you hear what I just said? I said in
Okay.
that team he got. Now Jaka at that point was going down the drain
If you're
until he
if
came
you're
up.
going to use hold on, if you're going to use this particular thing as an argument, then I can confidently and easily say that every Man U player outside Bruno Fernandes is shit because they're not being utilized properly or they're not getting the best out of them. Easy. So if Shaka comes to stand right now as a midfielder, is Ugarte going to stand beside him? If Shaka stands now, comes out, midfielders come out. When Shaka comes out, is Ugarte as good as Shaka? Let's not go better. So you cannot actually categorically, confidently sit here and say that Arsenal actually had worse players than Man U. Everybody has been crying about the players in Man U, and everybody keeps saying it now. The players in Man U are not good enough. They've been saying it last season. They've been saying it 2 seasons ago. They said it when Mourinho was there. They said it when Solskjaer took over. They said everybody keeps saying it. That's one of the complaints that even the pundits keep saying. The players are not good enough. The players are not good enough. So you cannot confidently just say, "Hey, the
In this
players."
case, your players are not good enough and your coach is not good enough.
All right,
Well,
no problem.
look,
Arsenal is going to beat
let's
PSG
so
tomorrow. Let's move on.
yes, okay.
I've
Church,
not even answered the question. I've not even said
church.
anything, but you guys have shaded it with so many questions or other topics. So let's move
Okay,
on.
okay. Arsenal getting through. Yes or no? Because you've told us how they are going to come back. This guy moved to midfield, party in the midfield. This guy going up. You even told us why. So I think you've actually analyzed the PSG setup, your team. 15 minutes to set up against PSG and give a lot of freedom to Nwaneri and play him, give him freedom, give Odegaard 45 minutes. Sure, you've mentioned all this. So I think you've actually analyzed how Arsenal is supposed to set up against PSG. So with that setup that you've outlined, are they going through? Are they beating PSG and going through to the finals?
There'll be a challenge. That game is going to
Okay.
be a good one to
There
watch.
will be a challenge.
Of
Yeah,
course, it's
we're
going to
going
be
to
a
challenge
challenge.
them because we're going to make
Yes,
sure
I
we put
believe
everything
that
on the
Arsenal
line.
can beat PSG. I believe that Arsenal can
Yep,
beat PSG. I think
I
All right,
believe
I
we'll
don't.
I have
win.
what it
We'll
takes.
win, but in a much more balanced, non-biased context. I would say it's going to be a very good game to watch in terms of the challenge it would present. As a fan, I think we're going to qualify.
All right. So Arsenal to go through for you. Okay. Now let's move on to something of beautiful, positive, cheerful note for people like us that love football. Some people that don't love football, like the man missing today, as this would have not been good news for him, but for me, this is good. I think he deserves it. Harry Kane finally has a
See,
trophy. Yeah, for all he has done, for all the quality he has shown, 10 years plus,
what a
breaking
player, what a
20 goal
man.
marks, breaking 20 goal marks in almost every season in the league. I think he deserves it. How do
Harry,
you feel
clap for
about
him
this?
now.
Henry,
Harry,
as an
clap for
Arsenal
him.
fan, how do you feel
Clap
that
for him. Clap
this
for him.
This Tottenham legend has finally broken the supposed curse on his head over him to finally win a trophy?
Um, as much as I maybe don't like or hate Tottenham in every sense, I have always given respect and credit to Harry Kane. As a striker myself, I look at how he plays. I've tried to emulate a lot of things he's done in game and just how he's even lived his own footballing life. You see, he's done a lot of things for the beautiful game, and I think he deserves much more than just one trophy. I really wish he was in a team. There's someone like Koeman now, and don't get me wrong, Koeman also deserves to win his trophy, but you begin to see what life looks like, and this is my rival, but that's how much I've thought about Harry Kane. Harry Kane would, if anyone deserves to get those trophies and accolades that Coman has gotten in football. If there's just one person I could mention, I'll mention Harry Kane. I think not only has he still has a bit of Arsenal blood in him because he started out. So nonetheless,
Yes.
I support anybody that's been part of us, that's
Claiming
won the red,
relationship. Oh.
and
Claiming
yeah, I
relationship
think
now.
I'm happy for him. He didn't win it in Tottenham, so that's one of the good things to also point out. But I'm really happy for him. I wish he can get to a team that would win even more. I would do well with him if he were to come to Arsenal right now. I'll still take him. He and De Bruyne, I'll take both of them. I think we'll probably start talking about transfers during when the season ends. But yeah, I think he probably should maybe stay put in Bayern and get two or three more if possible. I'm happy for him.
Okay. I think if you stay, yeah. I think if he stays in Bayern, is guaranteed more. When it comes to England, even if he goes to Man City or Liverpool, it's going to be 50-50 because the challenge that one was going to pose to the other is going to be stiff. And Namdi, how do you feel about Harry Kane winning a trophy? Personally, I thought it was a retire that was cost. But
I'm happy for him. I think he deserves it. I think his legacy deserves that 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 sort of high. He has proven himself to be one of the best strikers of his generation, and to win a league title um after all these years is something that is worthy of note. I'm really happy for him. I mean, I've never
do we think
supported England in international competition, so I've never
actually I
supported
wanted them
England
because of
any
him. Because
international
of him, I wanted them to win
competition.
the Euro share. I wanted them to win the
Ah,
Euros
no,
because of
no, no.
Harry Kane.
I knew. Funny thing was, and I think that's just been the story of Harry Kane's career, where he is. so capable and his team is so capable. And for the first time, that has finally stylized. I mean, after two tries into an actual league trophy. So yeah, I'm really happy for him. Really
Not
happy
that
for him.
because of Hurricane, I wanted England to win. I wanted England to win that Euros just because of Hurricane, because he deserved something. And that Euros was the one that made me feel like, okay, maybe Hurricane was the one that was caused. Because before, back in the day, I used to think that there was, everybody keeps saying about the Hurricane cause, he's caused, he's caused. I used to think that there was somebody that was always with him that people were not looking at, and that was Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer has been with Hurricane for the longest time, even in 20s from 2016 when Hurricane started, spearheading England's attack. Eric Dyer has been there. But this last tournament, Eric Dyer didn't go, and Harry Kane still fell short. Although that is where we still come back. I still come back to say that Gareth Southgate did not do a good job with what he was
And
given. He
let's
has
not
put
have
it
this
completely.
argument. But I think,
No,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that
That's why me. That's why I'm talking
it's not
about
this
me.
argument. That's not this
It's
argument. Okay, you
my,
okay?
it's my,
Yeah.
it's my take.
'Cause,
When you see what they had and
yeah,
how they
and
got to find
I
out.
completely understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Anyways,
I'm looking at what Southgate did and what the previous managers did, and
yes,
there's no comparison. The only thing is
yes,
that they came second or third like thrice or four times in a row. They always
okay.
met a team that was just better than them. There was nothing they could do about it.
That's see that's the that is the
So
that is where
it's
that is where
yeah.
we come to the issue. That's where we come to the issue when I say he didn't do a good job given what he had. And if we even look at the road they took to the finals, you could easily argue that Spain had a tougher, more challenging road to that finals. In fact, it's almost like Spain was really the first real team that they met in that tournament. And then look at all the talent that he has at his disposal. He has done a good job for morale. It's not just the big four, big six that are having players in the national team now. He has all that. You know, all the players now when they're coming to England, they actually have that camaraderie, unlike before, where Man U players stay one side, Arsenal players stay one side, Chelsea players stay one side, and then one or two Man City or Aston Villa or Newcastle players will be roaming around aimlessly. So he did good for that. But when we talk about the the football, okay, just look at these Euros now. He had Palmer at his disposal. He had Jude Bellingham at his disposal. He had Kobe Mino at his disposal. I'm talking about who he took to a tournament now, not just the ones he selected or didn't select. He had Foden at his disposal. He had Jared Bowen at his disposal to play wing on one side, and who did he have on the left wing? I know he had somebody else he could have easily played there, but then he insisted on playing Foden.
Sterling,
Who?
Sterling.
Can't remember who it was, but I know that okay, he had Saka. He had Saka. He still had Jared Bowen, but he still insisted on playing Foden out of position to play on the wing. Yeah, it's not his best position. Play Jude deeper, whereas he could have easily played other people there. It's like the decisions he made to how to bring it together. It was very questionable, and then it was not even beautiful to watch. It was lucky. And anyways, that is not the this thing. Let's not go.
What position did they come? Did they come third?
No, second. I think they got to the final. They got to the finals. They got to the final and Spain beat them convincingly, easy. Like easy,
Didn't beat them.
easy.
And then the
Everybody
World
was
Cup before
expecting the World
the
Cup
World Cup
before. I
before
think
they
I
were
think they came third. And then the
they came
last
third
Euro, they
because
still got to the final. Last Euro, they got to the final
and
where
they
they
lost
scored
to
the
Italy
one goal.
on
They
penalties.
scored they scored Italy one goal, and then instead of going again and pressing, he just stayed back, sat back until and let
Yeah,
Italy press. Imagine you're letting Italy press you
yeah. They're
when
not
you're
that
supposed
good
to
at
have the
pressing
advantage.
anyway. So
So you see, so like those things. Anyways, big ups to Hurricane. Big ups to Hurricane. Too bad there's a good chance. We don't know. He might get lucky having Tuchel as his manager to win the World Cup, or if he goes to the next Euros, to win the Euros. If Tuchel is there, Because at least we know that Tuchel is a winner. That's one thing we can all agree on and assume. We might not like his three at the back formation or whatever he wants to do, but we know that he's a winner. And when he wins convincingly. He doesn't win the one that you look at and say, that's lucky. He wins convincingly. Anyways, yeah, that's that. So let's talk. Remaining in Europe, I have a very, very important question I would like my fellows to clear up for me. Um, who is most likely going to win the Europa Conference League? We have Chelsea. Everybody believes. I believe everybody here agrees that they're going to, get past Joe Gardens. They've done the job in the first leg, 4-1. But then the other part of the bracket actually have two decent teams. You have Fiorentina and Real Betis, one goal difference. Real Betis having the advantage, and Anthony has been on fire. De Gea has been doing a very, very good job for Fiorentina between the sticks. So one goal between it, I would like to personally, I would like to think that Real Betis has more than enough with Isco and Anthony being a revelation for them. I believe that Real Betis has what it takes to actually make it to, especially since they already have the advantage. But if they get to the finals, just now, did you see them beating you guys, or do you think you guys have what it takes to turn them over?
It's a good question. Chelsea are really in the business of not navigating European finals expertly. So there's a there's a very big possibility that it will be nothing more than a formality. However, like you said, Betis are in the form of your life somehow. I don't know what's in the water in Manchester United. Once you leave Manchester United, all of a sudden you regain some sort of courage or some sort of sense. And Rashford and Tony, Scott McTominay, and his fresh tomatoes just tearing up Italy. So it's kind of like that's going to be a huge factor. They've always been a very dynamic team. They've shown incredible grit and incredible capability, fashioning chances and scoring goals.
But Sancho's in your team now.
He started well now. Okay, he fell back to his normal level. He fell back to his normal level.
It's not about
You see
Manchester.
how I don't mention it
It's about
because
finding
for
your.
a bit he was on fire. For
I
a
say,
bit
yeah,
he was
that's
on
the
fire,
thing.
but that
That was
those months were
that's
stretched. So yeah,
it's called
definitely.
form.
Betis is the team that we can be afraid of. But Fiorentina too is also a team that I mean these guys were in the Conference League final last season or 2 seasons ago.
I don't even know.
So keep that in mind. Yeah. Both teams are whoever gets in the final would be a threat and we would be wise not to assume that they will be a walkover.
All right.
I mean admitted Chelsea has had all walkovers this season in Conference League, but this will probably be our first not walkover. So let's keep that in mind.
Sounds like England's route to the Euro final. Okay.
God do not allow such evil to happen, please.
Henry, what do you think? What's your take on this?
Well, he's pointed most of the things I was gonna maybe point out at first. Yeah, I think Revitis looks like a team in form, and not just Revitis, but single-handedly, I have to give credit to the guy, the god himself, the guy that the Aura King, the guy that took took the banter, the guy that scored against us and went to do
This,
this in our front,
this
the
the
guy that
spinner.
the spinner. I mean, I that guy really made me and so many football fans angry, but it was so annoying that it became funny. So for some reason, he's really on form and he's doing good things. So just the way we laughed at him, I think is also good. We give him his credit. He's been on good form,
Yes.
man. I've watched the extended highlights for the last two games, and I don't know if they actually trying to milk out or like marketing, to market to more people from him. Like I don't know if they're trying to or a farm, if that's what they call it.
Yeah,
Like
that's what it's called.
you know, because he's constantly in the camera, and it's a good thing because he's actually producing result. He scored against
Yes.
in their last game, so
Yeah.
it definitely will
Beautiful
be a
call,
very
man.
challenging. Definitely will be a very
Beautiful
challenging
call.
one for Chelsea. I think Chelsea is a team that gets complacent, especially when they seem to have played a lot of very average teams and pick results from them. And it goes to show again the team Chelsea itself is a team that lacks experience. But when I
Yes.
remember they had that about 2 or 3 times during the season when they won a couple of games, and it was clear. Just acknowledging what Namdia said, it was clear the teams they won were not good at all, especially at that time. But it let them get to them. So they meeting Real Betis is going to be one to watch. I think Real Betis will, or maybe just even take it from Chelsea if Chelsea not taking. So I'm not going to write them out. I think Chelsea still has the best odds to win the conference
Yeah.
final, but in Real Betis would have a competition. I think Chelsea is going to beat Fiorentina, not because Fiorentina is not a good team, but um the way Chelsea attacks, I don't think Fiorentina, just like what Real Betis did to them in the first leg, I don't think Fiorentina gets to see those kind of attackers in out, in Italian league or
Well,
be it among the teams they've played. So
yeah,
it will be rather much more competitive against Real Betis.
the issue I have with the Chelsea team, as people have said that, but then the players are just so unserious and, as I said, inexperienced. Like Noni, Madueke doesn't. It just frustrates me to no end. I don't know. They keep putting it in his head that he's an extremely fantastic player, and he believes the hype. And he goes in and he scores one goal or scores two goals, and then he thinks he has made it. Pass the ball. No, he wants to go for himself, score, lose the chance. Nkunku, for some reason, has not found his feet. Jackson is back. Oh, let's pray that we get the Jackson that started this season, not the Jackson that was there last season. All right. So, Conference League. Conference League, beware of Real Betis. I think that's everybody's take on that. And let me give Henry something to be happy about. Manchester United. Okay, Henry, you have the floor. Henry, enjoy. Give us a
Well,
new one.
I,
Tell
I
us how
don't
bad
have
we
this.
are.
I don't have the strength to hate if that's what you're really thinking is going to make me happy. Right now, I'm much more concerned about my team and or looking towards the end of the season and possibly what the transfer holds. I think rightfully so when a team is 3-0 at first half, it's almost considered they're in. Um, as much as we put down, mind you have to say they got the formula right in that game. I still think that red card really hampered the tactical display that would have witnessed in the likes of Athletic Bilbao. We know them to be a very, very well drilled team, um, just like Real Betis and Real Sociedad. But obviously, that red card came in, and I can't argue so much against it. But in that kind of game, with that tempo, with that sort of stage set, with the lights, I don't think red cards should be things that will be flying out. The referee should have maybe found a way to manage the game. But win is a win, so we'll maybe
Was
see
it a
Chelsea.
red? Was it actually a worthy red card? Was it a fair red card in your opinion?
It was fair, but it's something that could be managed properly. Do you understand what I mean? It
No,
was fair, but it's
no.
something that could be managed properly.
So if it was fair, that means it was a red card. So the referee actually did make the right decision. So he did what he was supposed to do. That's why I'm asking. Is it a fair red card?
We've seen cases where things like that may have easily slided through as not being a red card or maybe just being a yellow. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was bad to give the red card. I just think at that point with this stage of where the being in semifinals and just everything. Yeah, so Mayu got that one maybe in check. I don't trust Mayu even in Old Trafford, so I'm
That is
still
why.
maybe
That's why this is
I'm
a.
still
That is why this is a conversation. That's why
yeah
it's a
I'm
conversation. You see,
still
I'm asking
I'm
if they
still
get to the
thinking
finals, not even winning it. I'm talking
yeah
about finals,
now
not even winning the
yeah
whole thing yet.
I, I think they are very much in the finals, but I'll never just think Man U is there already completely. Athletic Bilbao can come out as a serious team in the second leg, even in Old Trafford. I think they might even have a better game in Old Trafford because you guys just play stupidly in Old Trafford and shabbishly. So come in, score at least two in the first half. My own worries, Mayu will score at least one, so it makes the task even bigger.
You can't
Well, we'll see what will
guarantee.
happen.
You can't guarantee
Mayu
man
will
you scoring
score.
a goal. Okay, Namdi, can you guarantee man you scoring a goal?
I guarantee that they'll score a goal. By all means, yes.
Hmm. Wow.
I don't think I think that like both ties are effectively in the English team's hands. It would be surprising if they manage to throw it all away. That's my take.
Yeah,
And that is how we should
it's
treat
in Man U's
those
hands,
fixtures, yeah.
but if there's a team, the funny thing is these two teams in the Europa League final, the two English teams in the Europa League finals are teams that have a very, very fantastic capacity to bottle and give up their positions of advantage. I don't know a team in England.
I'm not arguing against that. In fact I quite agree. That's why I said to be surprising.
It will not
On
surprise
normal
me.
circumstances.
That is why.
This
Listen,
should
that's
be
why this is a conversation.
a
But it's not.
It won't be
This is why
understandable.
it's a
surprising. It won't be
conversation.
surprising. I think
It
it will
won't be
be even a
surprising.
better watch to see because we sort of
Yeah,
expected
it
from
will
Mayu.
be
Tottenham as well.
the
They've
bottling
considered one.
kings,
They've
and
considered
you
one.
considered one too. Yeah.
I watched Bodo Klim. There was a short documentary I watched about Klim. I don't think it was recent, but it just goes to show their ideology and how they've amassed success in the last 2 3 years. We played them a couple years ago in the Europa League. Still, as now we play them, and they were very they were very good with the ball. They weren't scared. They were quite attacking as well. So I think they're going to come out with that mentality against Tottenham. Tottenham is a very fragile, very, very fragile team that plays like under 18s. And it just takes one of the attempts Bodo Glimt would put on with so much intensity and make a goal out of. And we have a tie in our hand. I still think and sort of one of the I'm sort of divided now. I'd love for them but all the cups to come towards England, but as a fan on the other end, I still want it to be an Athletic Bilbao versus Bodo Glimt final. So we'll see what will happen.
Okay.
By the way, Dembele is fit to face Arsenal.
Of course, we know he's fit to face Arsenal. That's good news, Henry. Is that not good news?
Well, I'm not particularly scared this time, in fact, compared to how I was in the first leg. So I
Oh no,
think
I know
he's
why.
bit
You've resigned to.
why.
You've resigned to fate. You've resigned to your fate.
Mm.
Well,
The
it's good.
faintest glimmer
You
of
don't
hope. I'm
usually
just
have
joking.
as much good moments or good times against me or Arsenal. So I'll let you have this laughing moment now. So enjoy. Um, I'm not I'm not scared because I've resigned to fate. No, I'm not scared because from what I saw from at least the 35th minute to the 75th minute of that first leg, I was convinced
Hmm.
we could also come and challenge, even while all their stars were in the game. So we just once Yurin Timber got a hold of himself and before committing his leg, sort of put his body in the way, both Carasavilla and Dewey just almost didn't, they swapped. If you don't know, they swapped wings twice
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
then got a balance. And Miles Lewis Skelly came up very solid. I'm hoping he can have a game as good as that. Simba shouldn't commit himself first, which is why we would have even gotten a penalty. And then you have Partey coming, like I said, Declan Rice that's putting the energy as a six. So that's why I'm not scared. I'm not scared because of they or because now they can have all their stars. We entered that game a bit naively, knowing the fact PSG has one of the, if not the best, front power in the world. I keep saying how ambidextrous they are. Now, having known what they having played with them, at their fullest squad, I don't think anything different is going to happen. So we'll see. That's why I'm not scared.
All
I'm
right.
quite confident, and yeah, I'm happy to see what the game brings. This is what Champions League is about. We're not playing Europa League
Yes.
or Conference
Yeah.
League. This is exactly what Champions League
you
is
just
about.
had you just had to give us small taps to go home with.
No, no,
Just
it's not about taps.
take
No,
things, take things, take
I
things.
sat down to think about it on Saturday when we played Bournemouth. This is exactly what, because Champions League in itself is just another cup competition, but because of the unpredictability, the so much difference in tactics, just as different nationals, French from the Spaniards or the English, or different, that this is what the Champions League is about at the highest level.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting to see a very good game.
All right. So on that note, this is our time for today. I'm looking forward to, yeah, I'm sure we are all looking forward to the Champions League, these European ties this week. As a Man U fan, I'm looking towards my match half-heartedly because these players have shown me day in, day out that they cannot be trusted for some reason which I can't comprehend. They never understand. And I'm happy for Henry. Henry, I'm happy for you that you're looking forward to, to PSG without fear. Brave hearts that you have. It's not
It is
easy.
what it is, man.
All right. That's our time. Until next time, goodbye from us.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.